The following is a sponsored program paid for by First Alliance Credit Union. Welcome to Good Money Moves, featuring Jennna Taubel from First Alliance Credit Union and Andy Brownell. Here's Andy Brownell on Rochester's News Talk, 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
It's time for Good Money Moves on News Talk 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM. I'm Andy Brownell, joined by Jennna Taubel, Director of Brand and Digital Member Experience at First Alliance Credit Union. Hi, Jennna.
Hey, Andy.
So, last week, we talked about banking life hacks to help you stay on your budget and manage your money. What's the Good Money Moves topic this week?
Today, we are once again talking about a very important good money move, and that is financial goals. We have talked about this in the past, but we really focused on kind of how to set the goals and really stick to them.
Yep.
But we've never really talked about why setting financial goals is so important. And most people probably think that you only need to set financial goals to get something you really want, right? Whether it's a new matching washer dryer set or a down payment on a house or something like that, something big. But setting financial goals actually affects so much more than just kind of those wants that you have. And it's no exaggeration to say that setting a financial goal can improve almost every aspect of your life.
Okay, there's a bold claim if I ever heard one. So I guess, Jennna, tell us why setting financial goals is so important.
Yeah, so first and foremost, financial goals, any goal really, gives you direction. So almost everyone has some aspect of their lives that they would like to improve upon. However, a lot of people don't know exactly what they'd like to improve. They also don't know how to improve it.
Sure.
So, for example, if you don't like living in the apartment that you're living in, you might dream about having a nicer place someday. But what do you mean by a nicer place? A fancier apartment, a townhouse, your own house that you own? Also, what steps do you need to take in order to afford this nicer place? Do you need to put more money aside each month? Do you need to cut down on unnecessary expenses to free up some money in your budget to afford this? Do you need to bring in more income, more money into your banking account to afford this? Thus entering a topic that we've covered before on the show in depth, actually. But so this is where those SMART financial goals come into play, and to really give yourself some direction and help you answer a lot of those questions.
Okay.
To help you define what your goal is.
All right. You got to give me a shot at this to see if I can remember.
Okay.
The acronym.
Yes.
Okay. The first one's easy. I know it's SMART.
Yep.
The M is for measurable.
Yep.
A is attainable. I know realistic. And the last one has something to do with time.
Yes, it is. Yep. Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time bound. When you create your goals to meet each of these criteria, this is really what helps you to start prioritizing and giving some life to what is otherwise just a big kind of hope and dream. It kind of helps you build a concrete path forward. And it really helps you to start prioritizing your expenses. So when you're setting a financial goal using that SMART framework, if you're, let's say, saving for a car, for instance, you might start to realize that the money you might otherwise have put towards some new clothes could actually go towards your new car fund.
Sure.
So things like that. So a goal just really helps encourage you to create financial habits that will then help you reach your ultimate goal, that SMART goal that you've just set for yourself. And even more importantly, a goal gets you used to thinking about the future. And when you think about your goals, you're thinking about what you ultimately want to get out of life.
I think also it gives you that confidence. I did it this time. What's to
Yeah.
stop me from doing it another time for
It, oh,
something even larger?
absolutely. Absolutely. And I think it really does just kind of help you figure out what you want out of life and prevent you from feeling like you're just kind of drifting aimlessly and not really sure where to point yourself. It gives you direction to move in, and it gives you a framework in which to start moving in that direction.
Yes, I remember when I set the goal to be debt free.
That's a big one for a
And
lot of people.
at the time, it was, oh, get out of here, you know.
Hmm.
But I did the program, as you say, and lo and behold, it took time, and it took discipline,
Hmm.
but it did work,
It does.
and it was amazing because you go, I could pull that off. Wow.
Yeah. You start to have a bigger sense of control over
Yeah,
your life.
especially the part that some people feel is out of control, their finances.
Exactly.
So setting that SMART goal
Yep.
gets you on the road. What else do these financial goals do for us?
Yeah. So setting a financial goal just it helps you stay focused. If you don't have a goal clearly set out, you're more likely to spend money on things that seem nice in the moment, but don't ultimately help you reach your goal. When you have a set financial goal, though, you're a lot less likely to splurge on something kind of cool that catches your eye while you're out grocery shopping or whatever, right? And this really
Yep,
does tie back into that first part that we were just talking about when you're starting to prioritize what you want to spend your money on and be more conscious of it. So you might be tempted to go get a new pair of shoes that kind of, again, caught your eye when you're at the store. But when you have that smart financial goal set for yourself, you are naturally going to be more likely to ask yourself if you really need those shoes, or maybe I could put that money towards my goal and get me there faster instead.
absolutely. The woulda, coulda,
Yeah,
shoulda type thing.
exactly,
You won't
exactly,
be you won't be regretting that impulse purchase.
exactly. Yeah, and it just again it sets your mind to yes, prioritize your expenses, but it does also go a little bit beyond that. So it also means that if you have the opportunity to make more money, like maybe taking on a side hustle or working some extra shifts, you'll be able to balance the thought of doing some of that extra work against the thought of how you'll use the extra money to reach your goals.
Sure. And it, as you pointed out earlier, I think you used the word mission somewhere, or gives
Mm,
you purpose.
yeah,
And you find yourself framing questions in a different way.
yeah,
That looking at this in the future and going, I'd like to be there, and automatically going through those steps of, can I get there?
yeah,
Is it realistic? And then once
exactly.
you get to the realism part, then it's just nuts and bolts of how.
Mhm.
Are you going to go get the side gig? Are you going to cut down on meals out? Are you going to get rid of your myriad of streaming services?
Yeah.
It's getting to the point nowadays you could practically make a house or a car payment, not a house payment, but a car payment, and maybe not a new car payment, but a car payment on how much goes out the door for some of the streaming services that seem to pile up without even you
Oh, I
meaning to
know.
do so,
There's so many of them out there now.
and they keep trying to get you for more of them too.
They do.
But
They
yeah, it's
do.
that kind of thing that really makes this smart exercise valuable.
Yes. Yes.
And as we said, once you get one under your belt, whatever it may be, getting a different car, moving into a nicer apartment, townhome, or house, or
Mm-hmm.
paying off your school debt, whatever it may be, once you
Yeah.
get going on it, it's a heck of a lot easier to keep going too.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it's really just giving you motivation.
Motivation. But
Um,
we're going to talk some more about the financial goals benefits thereof.
Yeah.
And Jennna promised some big ones. Bold claims. No, they're all good claims, but we're talking about financial goals today on Good Money Moves, and we'll return in just a moment on News Talk 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
Good Money Moves continues in moments with Andy Brownell and Jennna Taubel from First Alliance Credit Union. This is News Talk 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM. We're talking Good Money Moves with Andy Brownell and Jennna Taubel from First Alliance Credit Union on Rochester's News Talk 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
Welcome back to Good Money Moves. I'm Andy Brownell, Jennna Taubel, First Alliance Credit Union, of course, with us for the program. And we're talking about financial goals, how to set them, how to get there, and the SMART goal system works. And we started to talk about the motivational aspect of all of this.
Yeah.
Let's talk more about that, Jennna. I mean, we did mention that once you get one of these under your belt, you might just look at it and go, that wasn't so bad. Let's do another.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, setting those financial goals for yourself and using that SMART goals framework, it not only keeps you focused like we talked about before the break, but it also is giving you that motivation. And that is a huge benefit of setting financial goals, is that intrinsic motivation that kind of is just built into the structure of this. So, when you're saving for a financial goal of some kind, right, after a few months, it can feel really easy to lose that motivation if you don't have a framework in place, right? You might get tired of transferring money out of your checking account that you'd prefer to spend on other more quote unquote fun things. Or you might just kind of start to lose steam after saving for several months and realize that you still have months to go, maybe even years before you reach your goal. But when you have that financial plan in place, what you end up with is a really clear picture of what your financial goals, what the steps are involved in reaching that goal. So you're not just working towards some vague idea of I want to save more money, right? And that in and of itself is really what that powerful motivational tool is that's built into it. Is you are literally building out step by step. What is this going to take? Realistically, how long is it going to take me? And if you don't like the plan that you've put forth, or maybe you get going on it and it's just not quite working out the way that you thought, you have in front of you the pieces of the puzzle that you can tweak and play with to get it to work for you. And that's kind of, again, where you can derive some sense of motivation from as well, because you might not always get it right the first time. And I think that's an important thing to put out there. Just because you've built your financial goal into the SMART goals framework doesn't mean that once you start to implement that plan you've created for yourself that it's going to work 100%. You may have to go back and make tweaks, but you have a starting place to go back. You'll start to understand where you're going wrong and why it's not working, because you know exactly what it is that you're supposed to be doing and following through on. And you may be able to start to fine tune and tweak that to either meet your goal faster, or maybe you just need to be a little bit more realistic, right? That R in the SMART framework with what your expectations are, what you can realistically put aside to save, or what you can realistically use extra to pay off debt, or whatever that goal looks like.
It's just like a budget. The idea that you're going to get it right the first time is a myth.
Yes.
And it's a constant process of adjusting things based upon what's happening in your life. And you could start one of these goals and you could have something happen that would have an impact on it, and go back and say, okay, maybe we're not going to be able to do this in a year and a half. It's going to take 2 years.
Exactly.
Because of this.
And another thing I think is important to talk about too, when we're talking about revisions to this plan, when you set out, you might be really, really gung ho and be like, I'm going to stop spending money on going out to eat. I'm not going to buy coffee out anymore. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that because I want to meet this goal. And then you realize you've taken all the fun out of life and you go, I cannot do this. And you have to build some fun back in and again kind of rearrange that piece of the puzzle a little bit. And that's okay. Don't kill yourself
You can
trying
give
to save
yourself
money.
one streaming service.
Yeah.
Not 6 or whatever that number may be. I also wonder too, if somebody, the first time you do this, do something relatively small over a short time span.
Yes.
Let's say 6 months.
Small.
Just to give yourself a success.
Yes. Yes. Starting small is a great approach, especially if the concept of managing your finances and setting financial goals is new to you and you've never really done it before. Trying to take control all at once in a big scope is not going to go well for you. It's going to start to feel really overwhelming and you're going to lose track of it. So definitely start smaller. Start off by saying, you know what, I'm going to pay off this one credit card. That's my financial goal right now. Start there, see how it feels, get used to working within that framework and kind of resetting some of your mindset around your money. And then build up to some of those bigger ones, like a down payment, saving up for a down payment on a house or, some of those big ones.
Oh, I know in 6 months I need new tires for the car. I'm going to pay cash this time.
Yeah, that's a great example.
Start stocking away $50 or so every week or whatever it needs to be. Okay. How else do these financial goals make me or help me be more successful?
Yeah, well, I think another really important benefit of setting a financial goal is that it and we kind of alluded to this, but it holds you accountable to yourself, right? So putting together a SMART goal doesn't just give you that roadmap to obtain your goal. You're also setting an expectation for yourself that you'll reach that goal, and not just the goal either, all the steps that you've planned that lead up to you attaining that goal, right? All of those little tweaks to your spending habits that you may have considered that you need to take. But really, ultimately, it gives you this really strong sense of ownership and a really strong sense of responsibility that can be really hard to find without having that structure in a lot of cases. But, what this doesn't mean, though, is that you'll, never miss one of your benchmarks, like we mentioned earlier. Like you having a goal set up will help you figure out how to alter that schedule to really accommodate if you do miss the mark. Like you said, maybe you've got great plans and you're making great momentum, but then something unexpected happens. A big bill comes through that you weren't expecting because your car broke down. And now you have to add to that debt load that maybe you weren't planning to as you're trying to pay it off, or you have to pull money out of your savings after you started to make some really good progress to pay for that. So you have to kind of expect those setbacks when you're kind of moving into this. And it's okay, again, if that happens, to just take a step back and reassess and kind of not let it derail you from your goal, because your goal is important and it is attainable. You just have to take another look at it and kind of restructure how that's going to look like and kind of go back and revisit that original plan that you had in place.
Yep. I like that resilience part of it too, because if you have struggled with this in the past and have thrown your hands in the air and just said, I'm just going to let what happens. By having this in place, this process that you're talking about, and if you do have the hiccup and realizing you can adjust things and still hit that goal, that sense of accomplishment, as you mentioned, is huge.
It is.
And
it is.
Resilience. I actually conquered this. I can do another. Okay. We're talking about the benefits beyond just actually reaching a goal of financial goals. On Good Money Moves, and we'll return in a moment on News Talk 1340, KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
Good Money Moves continues in moments with Andy Brownell and Jennna Taubel from First Alliance Credit Union. This is News Talk 1340, KROC AM and 96.9 FM. We're talking Good Money Moves with Andy Brownell and Jennna Taubel from First Alliance Credit Union on Rochester's News Talk 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
Welcome back to Good Money Moves. Jennna Taubel, First Alliance Credit Union. The topic this week is setting financial goals, actually the benefits of setting financial goals.
Mm-hmm.
So is there anything else that a financial goal can do that we haven't talked about already?
Yes. And we kind of started talking about it right before the break, but one of the other benefits, huge benefits, and what makes setting financial goals important is it ultimately helps you feel really accomplished. Most financial goals are not easy to reach. Even the small ones that you set for yourself, they require discipline, they require patience, and a little to a lot of sacrifice in most cases. You have to change habits, which is hard to do. But when you finally reach your goal, all that hard work, all that effort just seems so worthwhile. There's a weight that's often lifted off your shoulders when you reach those goals that you set for yourself. And even reaching a small goal, like saving up for something that only costs $200, it gives you a sense of accomplishment, gives you that confidence boost to keep going and doing more. And even better, that feeling of accomplishment then, right? It empowers you to set bigger, more difficult financial goals for yourself. And after you achieve one, you can achieve another. And after you achieve that goal, then you can achieve the next one you set for yourself, and so on. Because as you're doing this, you're building in really good financial money management habits along the way, because you have to have those built in, those basic skills, in order to reach those bigger goals. And so, you might even be more comfortable about trying out new tactics to reach your financial goals as you get better and better at achieving your little ones along the way. And you might start to feel more comfortable using financial tools, like things like a line of credit or a credit card, without the fear of the debt that's involved with them, because you've started to kind of attain a more financially stable position for yourself overall.
Absolutely. That's why they're called good money moves, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Now, I just going to underline everything you're saying there. And I mentioned earlier that we went through we've got piles of debt. This is not where we want to be. And let's get this done within 3 years. And we embarked on it. And at the beginning, it looked impossible, but we decided, this is how much we could sock at the debt every month. And we did this, and it just and after time, it got to be habit.
Yeah.
It was no longer that difficult sacrifice. It was just what you were already doing.
Exactly.
And then you got there and you went, holy smokes, this is awesome.
Yeah.
I couldn't shut up about it for a while. Anytime I went, hey, what's new with you? I'm debt free.
It's a huge accomplishment that honestly, though, so many people have that kind of goal for themselves. Like, I want to be debt free. I don't want to have this debt hang over my head anymore, but they don't know where to get started. And that's a big piece of why using that SMART goals framework can be so beneficial, to just get the thought out on paper and really start to outline the steps that you're going to need to take. And it makes it so much more approachable.
Yes.
Because otherwise it does feel like this huge, like, vague concept of, well, I know I need to do this, but I really don't know how to do it. Well, at the end of the day, you do. And kind of working through that SMART goals framework is how you start to identify those steps and start to break it down into smaller, more manageable pieces so that you can achieve those goals.
And you mentioned writing it down. You're right. That is really powerful, because when you write down the amount of time, the amount of money, and what your whatever allocation is to do, to lop off your budget to do this.
Yeah.
It just helps boost your confidence, because you're going to lie in bed thinking about this, and you start thinking, I can do this, actually, because you start identifying things that you're doing in your life that are relatively wasteful.
Exactly.
But we could just skip by that stuff for a few years. We're there.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Fantastic information, as always, Jennna. But of course, there's tons more to this topic. I'm sure of it, financial goals.
Mhm.
So where can we go to find out more about making good money moves?
Yes, as always, I encourage our listeners to visit our website, firstalliancecu.com. You can subscribe to our blog. We release new financial tips and advice just like this out there every week. You can also check out a lot of the free online resources at firstalliancecu.com as well. We have all kinds of downloadable packets. We have a SMART goal packet you can download that can help you start working through setting financial goals, just like we talked about today. Various budgeting worksheets and calculators that you can use to kind of help you set those goals, debt payoff guides to help you start wrapping your head around how you can approach that and build it into a SMART goal. So all kinds of tools available to help you out. You can also go back and listen to past episodes of this show at firstalliancecu.com/podcast or on krocnews.com. You can subscribe to Good Money Moves on Apple, Google, and Spotify podcasts. And if you love the show, please take a minute to leave us a review on your favorite podcasting platform. Or if you have a financial topic or a question you would like to ask us and have us answer it on Good Money Moves, please send me an email at marketing@firstalliancecu.com. And of course, I strongly encourage anyone who's listening to reach out to our team at First Alliance Credit Union. They can help you set those goals, come up with a plan to pay off your debt, help you figure out where to get started making good money moves today.
That's First Alliance Credit Union, federally insured by NCUA and an equal housing lender. And this has been Jennna Taubel with First Alliance Credit Union. And Jennna, we'll see you again next week.
You bet.
Thank you so much. It's Good Money Moves right here on News Talk 1340, KROC AM and 96.9 FM.